Welcome. Dr. Adrian McIntyre here, founder of B School for Coaches. I want to welcome you to this training. Thanks so much for being here. You know, over the past week, we've had coaches calling in from all over the world for a series of live webinars. This is something I do once a quarter, every 3 months or so, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you know, truthfully, I looked back over all the webinars and all the recordings that I had of all the webinars, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to re-record a special replay version just for you. And so that's what you're watching right now. In this free training workshop, I'm going to present to you a detailed case study of how I created an entirely new revenue stream for my own business. And I'm going to give you a step-by-step action plan that you can follow to do the same thing for your coaching practice. I'll tell you how you can get some additional training and support from me as you implement the strategy I'm teaching you today, in case you're interested. And I'm committed that no matter what, after you've finished watching this video, you'll have a new perspective of what's possible for your business. And you'll know the specific steps you need to take to get there. Fair enough? Now, why am I doing this? Well, here's what I'm hearing from you. Can I speak frankly about this? Many of the professional coaches I've talked to recently, and I have spoken to a lot, are floundering and even failing in business. Now, some of you are doing okay, but far too many of you are struggling, and you're disillusioned. You're just plain broke. You may still be doing good for others, but you're not doing well for yourself. And it's sad, and it's true. Now, I'm talking about some of the most committed, compassionate, and caring people you'll ever meet. People with a burning desire to contribute to others and make a difference on the planet. Are you one of those coaches? If so, you've probably discovered that desire simply isn't enough. You've learned how to be a great coach, or you're in the process of learning that, but you haven't learned how to set up and operate a profitable coaching practice. And so you're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, confused about where to begin. Maybe you've even given up on your dream of being a successful coach, like a few of the folks I've talked to. And you've gone back to work at a job you don't love just to pay the bills. Well, let me tell you what's happening. It's very simple. You know those 6-figure and 7-figure coaches you see? The ones you would all know if we named names? The ones who are surging ahead while you're struggling to make ends meet? They're only doing one thing differently than everyone else. They're harnessing the power of the internet and other communications technology to connect and engage with people they would otherwise never be able to reach. And there's no reason you can't do that. With the strategy I'm going to teach you today, I want to give you a competitive advantage so that you can build a world-class coaching practice this year. There's simply no reason whatsoever for you not to succeed, and I want to help. So let me give you a little bit about my background. I've been involved in media and communication my whole life. I grew up in a radio station and ended up working as a journalist myself. This is a photo from 2003. I was covering the invasion of Iraq for Newsweek. I'd lived and worked in the Middle East for a number of years as a journalist, as an educator, as a researcher. And after spending that summer in Baghdad, I moved to the Sudan, where I had lived for almost a year and a half in Darfur as the media spokesperson for Oxfam, one of the largest international relief agencies in the world. And I also worked as a consultant and collaborator with a number of other relief organizations and UN agencies. So this is really my field, communications and media and interacting with people, representing their brand, their story, really communicating the message of what's happening in complex situations. Now, that all sounds great. truth of the matter is, these were some of the toughest years of my life. They were really difficult. The work was exhausting. It was frustrating. It was dangerous. I've had numerous friends and colleagues who were killed, both in Iraq and in Sudan. I had plenty of near misses myself. And being in that kind of deprivation, surrounded by people who had been brutalized by other human beings, seeing the effects and the impact of war really took a toll on me. And after a number of years of working in this international arena, I came back to my native California in 2005, burnt out, heartbroken, and profoundly disillusioned with the state of the world, really with the state of humanity. And while I continued my studies, getting a PhD from UC Berkeley in anthropology, again focusing on language and communication, I was at the same time introduced to a weekend personal development program called the Landmark Forum, and you may have heard of that. I discovered in that weekend course the power of transformational coaching in people's lives, and I loved it. So when I graduated from Berkeley and became a part-time professor at UC Berkeley, I also became a program leader for Landmark Education. I spent 5 years doing that, starting here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and ultimately traveling throughout the U.S. and Canada to lead intensive weekend programs for 80 to 150 people at a time. And in 2012, just last year, I made a huge shift, a big choice. I took a risk, and I decided to leave the security of both the university and Landmark and take a huge risk to create my own platform and start my own business. This is the big shift, by the way, from institutional to independent forms of knowledge that I talked about in a video I sent out to people on my list. I hope you've had a chance to watch it. Now, day in and day out, I'm still in the business of strategic communication, storytelling, content marketing as it's now being called. But I'm doing it on my own terms and with the people that I really want to help. People like you. People who are in the business of helping other people. And I work almost exclusively with entrepreneurs, experts, holistic practitioners, and coaches. And I want to make the case to you today that something extraordinary is possible for you and your practice if you're willing to take a risk and be more bold and more audacious than ever before. See, the internet and what I call the people's publishing platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, etc. These technologies are fundamentally transforming the way we connect and engage with people around the world. It's never been easier to turn up the volume on your message and to collaborate with other passionate people to create new forms of community. And the implications of this are profound. Furthermore, I firmly believe, and there's plenty of evidence to suggest, that this whole revolution in communication and technology is in its infancy. It's moving very, very fast. And if you're not keeping up, if you're still doing old world clay tablet style cuneiform coaching in a Web 3.0 world, you'll get left behind. And it's not because you're not a good coach. It's because you haven't upgraded your business skills and assets immediately to keep pace with the times. And I'd like to help you do that. Now, in the extended webinars, I went into some detail about the 10 pillars of a successful coaching business. And rather than do that here in this video, I'd actually like to send that segment out as a separate training video. So it'll go into greater detail even than we went on those webinars, and it'll be entirely free. If you're on my email list, you'll be notified when that becomes available. In the time we have together today, I want to focus on one specific strategy for expanding your coaching practice. And in order to make the case for this strategy, I want to talk for just a minute about the mindset you'll need to have. To implement what I'm going to teach you in this training today, you're going to need to think like an entrepreneur. Now, that word gets thrown around a lot, and it's not always used very precisely. So I would like now to define it somewhat more rigorously, because I mean something quite specific, and it has nothing to do with sort of crazy outside-the-box creativity or any of those things. It's a way of thinking about your coaching practice and your work in general as a business in a very particular way. So what's the definition that I'd like to use of entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is someone who takes a risk to build something that adds value, which can be exchanged for money. Someone who takes a risk to build something that adds value, which can be exchanged for money. Now, there's something very important about the way I've put this definition together. Notice that the money is not the point. In fact, any true entrepreneur will know this and will tell you right up front that it's not about the money, although the money is part of it. It's about what they're building and the value that provides. In fact, there's an even more profound point to really understand here about money. Money's never the point. What is money anyway? Money is nothing more than a medium of exchange. Money is just a transactional tool that lets people convert one type of value to another. If you've built something or created something and you'd like to exchange it for something else, you can either do a straight across trade or you need something in the middle, to some equivalent thing that lets you convert one type of value to another. And that's all that money is. But if you think about it, money's not even a thing. Not really. I mean, maybe it's a few crumpled pieces of paper in your pocket. But more than likely, your money is a whole bunch of zeros and ones on computer networks spread around the world. And we could take this even one step further. Ask any economist, what's the basis of economic systems? It's not money. It's value. Value is the point. So I want to talk to you about how to build something that adds value. What you and I have been calling money, and a lot of folks are just really kind of tangled up in their heads about this, so let's just clear this up right now. What you and I have been calling money is nothing more than an agreement that was established by humankind long before we showed up, you and me, that pieces of paper, or shells, if you want to go back even further, and then more recently, zeros and ones, can be used to convert one type of value to another. It's just that it's an agreement, a linguistic agreement. Money's like the equation in algebra. You remember those from school? You have something on one side and something on the other side, and then you needed an operator, equal sign, in the middle to connect the two. Money's just that connector, the equal sign. Period. End of story. No need to get ourselves tangled up in knots about it. We're not even going to focus on that. We're going to focus on what you can build that adds value. And you should know that building anything that's going to add massive value includes taking a risk. Now, in order to operate a successful business, I mean any kind of business, you're going to have to learn how to sell things. And whether it's pencils or widgets or information products or workshops or premium services, high-touch services like coaching, if you don't understand how to sell, you'll be out of business very, very quickly. And I know you know that, but I'd like to give you a way to think about how to sell to anyone that will really also cut through a lot of the confusion and mystery and, quite frankly, nonsense that gets taught in this whole business about selling. how to sell to anyone. Here's the secret. You ready? Offer them a specific solution to an urgent problem that they know they have. And be cooler than your competition while doing it. That's it. 4 parts. There's the whole story. It's breathtaking in its simplicity. And it's powerful and true. Offer them a specific solution to an urgent problem that they know they have, and be cooler than your competition while doing it. By the way, this slide right here is why so many people are struggling to fill their coaching practice. You're offering a non-specific solution, a somewhat abstract solution called coaching. Now, you know what it is. It's specific to you. You understand it. It's concrete. You've even experienced it more than likely. But to the target audience you have, it's abstract. You find yourself trying to explain coaching over and over again. That should be a pretty good clue right there. And it's a long-term solution most of the time. Don't you try to sign people up for 3-month, 6-month, or year-long coaching programs? So you're offering a non-specific solution and a long-term solution to what is probably a long-term problem, not always an urgent one. And to make things even more interesting, it's usually a problem people don't even know they have. Now, people do know they have issues, they want results, I need help, I'm too disorganized, or I want to get more focused in my career, or if you're a relationship coach, there's clear problems there, health coach, etc. But usually underneath it all, the real issue is not what they think it is. You've discovered this, right? Pretty much anything in life, any result you want to get, the answer is that somehow you, as a human being, have to develop and expand and transform and grow and build new capacities and alter your ways of seeing and thinking and being and acting in the world. But try to tell that to someone who just wants to lose 10 pounds, right? The long-term solution to a problem they may not even know they have. And this final piece, look, we all want to think that we're pretty cool, and you are, I'm sure. But frankly, you're also probably doing some uncool things in your business, the way you've positioned it, the way you're offering your services as a coach, that you don't even realize are uncool because everyone else is also doing them. And because it's what you've been taught. And because they were taught it by someone who was taught it by someone who was taught it by someone. So, I've got some good news for you though. Actually, this is all fairly easy to fix once you realize what you need to do instead. And really, it's quite simple. A specific solution to an urgent problem that they know they have, and be cooler than your competition while doing it. Now, if you want to grow a world-class coaching practice, if you want to elevate your platform even further, if you want to extend your reach, you want to amplify your message, if you want to, however you would describe it, if you want to even get more clients, if you just put it in those simple terms, you'll need a booster engine. Now, let me explain this metaphor so you'll get what I mean. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I thought the space shuttle program was the coolest thing in the world. I'm going to tell you something. Do you know what it took to launch the space shuttle into space? The shuttle itself, that sleek, sophisticated piece of machinery, which was the point of that whole program, the space shuttle on its own couldn't get to outer space, couldn't get beyond the gravitational pull of the Earth. The gravity was too strong. The shuttle wasn't strong enough to push against it. So they had to attach the space shuttle to massive booster engines to propel it up through the stratosphere and into orbit. The booster engines had a very important short-term job. And when that, the job was to get this thing up out there into orbit. And when that job was done, they detached themselves from the shuttle and floated back down to Earth on parachutes. They landed somewhere in the ocean, ships went and collected them, and they were fixed up and used again for the next launch. Now, what does this have to do with you? I'd like you to consider that your one-on-one coaching is like the space shuttle. It's your most sophisticated, elegant tool. It's the point of the whole thing. Working one-on-one with people is why you probably got into coaching in the first place, because you love it. You're probably good at it. And on its own, your one-on-one coaching is unlikely to propel you to stratospheric heights. In fact, if you look around the industry at the people who are the leaders, whether they're the old guard, the well-established figures, the quote-unquote gurus, or whether they're the up-and-coming next generation, the people who are really surging ahead just in the past year or two. If you look and see, their business model is not based on one-on-one coaching, and they may still do it. But one-on-one coaching doesn't have the scale, the scope of impact that's necessary if you really want to grow your business and extend your reach. You know, if you think about it, Oprah didn't become Oprah by interviewing people one at a time in her living room and then sharing those tapes with a few friends around the neighborhood. No, she attached herself to a massive booster engine called television. And as a result, she's impacted hundreds of millions of people all over the world. Now, you don't have to think that big, although there's really no reason why you couldn't. No reason why you couldn't make a difference at that scale. You've got access to tools that even Oprah didn't have, and they're free. Look at the statistics about YouTube sometime, about the reach and scale of YouTube. It will really boggle your mind, and you can broadcast there for free. Now, the booster engine that I'm going to show you in the next few minutes, I want to show you how to actually build this booster engine for your coaching practice. It is not my intention that it detract from your one-on-one coaching. In fact, I want you to think about how it will fuel it with occasional short-term bursts of powerful, focused action. How this booster engine can help you launch your one-on-one coaching higher and higher every time you deploy it. I want to make the case that you should create a group program or a boot camp, as I've taken to call it, and that this should become an important component of your coaching practice alongside your one-on-one coaching. Now, I want to just tell you the benefits of this up front, and then I want to show you the case study of what I've done and how it works, so that you really get the nuts and bolts of what it would mean to do this. So first of all, the benefits. Why would you do this? Why would you put together a group training program of some kind? Not a coaching program, but a group training program or boot camp. Well, it produces fast, tangible results. Boot camp style programs work. And they work because they're intense and because they interrupt normal everyday life. They are ruthlessly focused on producing maximum results in a fixed period of time. By the way, that makes them a specific solution to an urgent problem. Now, there's a bonus that comes along with this, another result for you. You get, if you follow the strategy I'm suggesting here, you will get unsolicited testimonials from all over the place from implementing this. Take a look at some recent things that people have posted on my own Facebook wall without even being asked, out of using the model that I'm going to show you of how to launch a program like that. Thank you for the webinar. Extremely important information. Very willing to help. You're knowledgeable in this area. These are great. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm humbled by the feedback, but this is also such an important component of developing your own positioning in your own coaching practice. Very impressive model, Dr. McIntyre. I've worked with some of the best mentors, life and business coaches in the world. System is right up there. Thank you Thanks a million. I register, share. Great webinar tonight. I'll be in touch about making it work. Wanted to say I enjoyed the webinar. Thanks so much for letting me attend the webinar again. It was awesome, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you get unsolicited testimonials even from implementing the strategy, and not even from people who end up signing up for the course. There's more. Bonus result number 2. You get paid to create an information product. You know, the information products you keep hearing that you need, you know, an ebook or audio program or DVD home study course or all those things. You can go off and try to build those on your own, or you can build your group program, record it as it's happening live, and then repackage those recordings later. And you've got your information product. Really great strategy. Another major benefit, and something that you need to take seriously, is that you build a responsive email list by using this strategy. Now, everybody has heard that you need an email list, but too many coaches tell me that they'll get around to offering a group program or an information product eventually, once they've built up their email list, so they have people to sell it to. That's backwards. Build the program and you'll get the list. It's not the other way around. When you have something specific to offer people, they're interested in finding out more. In fact, the fastest way to build up an email list is not to have a sign-up form on your website for a newsletter. Actually, that newsletter is probably something that you don't really want to write every week, if you're really honest about it. And you know what? A lot of people don't even really want to read. I won't go on and on about that. We'll discuss some of those options in the 10 Pillars video that I'll be sending out. Just know this. When you have a specific event, something that's happening in real time, it's a live event, whether it's over a webinar, a teleseminar, an in-person workshop, that event gives people a compelling reason to sign up for your email list. And people who do that are interested in getting results, not just information. They're not just looking for some other PDF file to download and stick on their hard drive along with the other terabytes worth of data that they're not really using. They're interested in results. It's probably why you signed up for my webinar, if you did, because you were interested in the results I was promising you would get out of that free training. Here's the third benefit, and this is so important. This strategy that I'm going to lay out in detail positions your coaching, your one-on-one coaching, as a premium service. Here's how it works. When you have the group training program, you can offer one-on-one coaching as an optional upgrade during the program. And then again, on the back end of the program. So you're approaching the end, the final session of your boot camp or your training group or your class or whatever you call it. And you can offer to folks that if they want ongoing development and coaching and guidance work with you, they might consider a one-on-one coaching package. And it positions your coaching as your most exclusive and valuable service offered at a premium price. And you know what? That's what it should be. I feel quite strongly about this, quite passionately about this. Your one-on-one coaching should be your most expensive, most exclusive offering. Why? Because that's where people are getting the most of you. And you're precious. Your skills and capacities as a coach provide such richness for people. Forget about the silly things you may think about yourself from time to time. We're all kind of hard on ourselves. But if you ask any of the people that you've really helped, the people who've really benefited from working with you, whether it was for free or whether they paid you or anything, they'll tell you the value they've gotten out of that. And I'm tired of seeing coaches undervalue their one-on-one coaching by giving it away for free or low-balling themselves on the price, thinking, well, I don't really deserve to get paid. You know, I mean, I could think maybe $60 an hour, $80 an hour. I could never imagine charging $100 $150 an hour, $300. No way. You know what? You're thinking about it wrong. You've confused price, which is all about money, with value. What's the value of your one-on-one coaching? You know, for a lot of people, it's priceless. If out of an hour-long session with you, someone gets their marriage back on track, what's that worth to them? If out of working with you in their business, people double their productivity or their income, what's that worth to them? If I was charging $350 for this training video and out of it you implemented the strategy and made $200,000 next year, which of course I'm not saying you would and could never promise that, but if that were to happen, would it have been worth the $300 you spent for this time? Of course it would be. You got to be focusing on that value and not get all messed up on the price. The price has nothing to do with your worth as a person, and it also has nothing to do with what you've ever been paid before in the past as an hourly wage. They're just not even the same thing. People will buy what's extremely valuable to them, and they'll pay a premium price for it. Okay, so I don't want to get on a soapbox there, but I just really want you to understand that that's kind of the way that I see it should be. And if you embrace that idea and run with it, I think you'll do very well, and you'll also feel very good about the fact that you are a valuable contribution to people. And that's so important for you to understand. Now, you can also have people apply to become your clients. You don't even need to try to get everyone to sign up for this. Because you have this other source of revenue running alongside, you can afford to be selective. And when you can be selective, you eliminate the subtle desperation that people can sense when you're just plain too eager to work with them. You know, when you're running around trying to get everybody signed up for coaching with you, free sample session, why don't you do this? And you know what, psychologically, whether it's unconscious or conscious, people are a little bit turned off by that. Well, if this is so great, if this is so valuable, why are you trying to force it on me? Why are you trying to give it away for free? When your coaching is a premium upgrade or an exclusive offering that you actually sort of evaluate people in order for them to benefit from it, it cuts that whole thing out. And it's not about playing tricks or mind games or acting elitist or anything like that. If nothing else, have people apply through a fairly simple process to simply make sure that you actually can help them. Because if you can't, if it's not a good fit for some reason, you want to know that ahead of time and have them not work with you. Recommend some other course of action for them. And if you've got a group class and you're offering one-on-one coaching on the back end of the class, you actually could even handpick the most motivated, engaged, and appreciative students or clients in that class and offer the coaching option to them. You know, you could even do it privately. You don't have to do it to everyone. Not everyone is an ideal candidate for your one-on-one coaching. All right. I want to tell you the story of how I built this sort of thing in my own business, which is not strictly speaking coaching business, but I sort of stumbled onto this. Now, the ideas here are not radically new, and I didn't make a lot of them up, but I did discover for myself the power of this model. And it came out of putting together a program last year called the ACE Your Graduate School Application Bootcamp. And I want to just tell you briefly about that and how it happened. So, for years, I would have students come to me when I was teaching at the university and even when I was a graduate student and ask me for advice and recommendations about how to get into grad school. It's something that I had been fairly effective at. In the course of getting 2 master's degrees and a PhD, I'd applied to a lot of graduate programs and been accepted to many of them. I had won competitive fellowships and scholarships, and a lot of that, well, maybe it had something to do with my academic qualifications, but it also had a lot to do with the fact that I was a communications professional. I really understood how to shape the application essays and present myself in a very powerful way. And I had strategies I could teach people about that. So they would come to me and I would help them, and a lot of them were my students and it was part of the job. But one day last year, I was talking to one of my students over the phone. I actually had a cold, and normally I would go had met her in my office or in a coffee shop or something, but wasn't feeling well. And I said, listen, just here's my number. Call me at home on Sunday evening, and we can just talk over the phone. That would be better. So this student was talking to me. We spoke for about 90 minutes, and at the end of that call, my wife Jen came out of the other room, and she said, that was really interesting. I've actually never heard you talk about that stuff before. And I realized that when I had my academic hat on, my professor hat on, and I was always on campus, and so it just wasn't much of a conversation in our home, so I didn't recognize that was something so interesting or so valuable, but Jen did, and she said, you know what, I bet there's probably a lot more students than that one that wish they could have been a fly on the wall for that conversation. You should probably figure out a way to offer that advice, that training, that knowledge to people, maybe even beyond Berkeley. And a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, you know what? That's a really good idea. I don't know if it's something they want, though. So I quickly called the student back and said, hey, just a quick follow-up question. Do you think other students like you would want to get that sort of information that we were just talking about? And she's like, well, yeah, that was awesome. I think everybody would really want to know that. And I said, okay, well, do you think they'd pay money for it? And she said, yeah. I mean, look, I got more valuable, practical strategies in that 90 minutes with you than I'd gotten in the last 2 years of talking to other professors in their offices and stuff. That was really helpful. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that would pay money for that. And so I just simply decided right there and then I was going to go for it. I'd never built a training program like this before. I mean, I've been an educator for years, but never delivered any of that kind of content over the internet or anything like that. But I decided I was going to go for it. So I dived in, created this program in about 2 weeks' time. I needed to do it very quickly because the deadlines for the universities were coming up fast. So I knew if this was going to have any chance of being successful and helping people and making a little bit of money for us, that it needed to get done quickly. So essentially I dived straight in and created the program. It was a success. I ran it a couple times. I had a number of very happy and satisfied clients. I'm going to show you exactly what I did, because when the dust settled, when I was looking back at the end of December, after having done this thing twice, I realized that I hadn't seen it at the time, but there was a strategy that was beginning to emerge from what I had done. And it involves something called the path to purchase. The path to purchase. What is that? Well, for anything that you're selling, whether it's coaching or an ebook or anything, there is, whether you realize it or not, a pathway people will have to travel down from wherever they are to the point where they buy that service, that product, that program from you. And that path to purchase involves them, first of all, finding out you exist and that you have a solution available for a problem that they would very much like to solve. And beginning to enter into a kind of relationship with you where they learn more about you, come to understand that, yes, in fact, it is quite likely that you can help them, and they become, they start to like you, they start to trust you, and then eventually they buy from you. And there's a path that they come down, and it's not the same path for every program or every product. You could have multiple paths to purchase in your coaching practice. But I want to show you the one that really works for this strategy I'm recommending for you. The one that really, really works for filling a group training program. Here's how it works. Starts with you doing some planning. You actually got to sit down and think through the process and create your plan for how to implement the steps that I'm about to show you. Now, from the perspective of your potential client, they enter the path to purchase first by encountering a promotion. By promotion, I mean something that you have put out there into the world, promoting the fact that you have this solution, this training program available. It could be you could put a flyer up in the public library or a bulletin board in a cafe. Or it could be an online promotion. Again, free. You could be making postings on your Facebook page, inviting other people to share them with folks that they know. You could do it like that. Or it could also be a paid promotion. You could run ads. And I recommend you do, actually. I recommend that you run pay-per-click ads on Facebook and, depending on your specialty, on LinkedIn. Those are very, very highly targeted and efficient advertising platforms, and I'll tell you more about that. But they see your promotion. If they click on that ad or they call the number on the flyer or whatever it is that they do, that drives them to your platform. Platform is what you've built that allows you to deliver your content, your program to the world. It starts with a website and includes other things, and I'll show you the details here in just a minute. From the platform, they're invited to register for a free presentation. A free presentation in which you will teach some very valuable stuff. All right? This whole thing only works if the presentation is awesome and you're giving them high value content for free with no expectation that they should buy anything at all. At the end of that presentation, you'll make your pitch. Or you'll make your offer, which is a nicer, softer word and really is probably the most appropriate word. It just doesn't start with P. You'll make your offer, and that offer is for them to sign up for your program. Okay? This is the path to purchase. It includes the planning, but that's kind of like the iceberg under the water. Nobody really sees that. The tip of the iceberg is that promotion, and then people move through promotion to platform to presentation to pitch to program. Now, that's abstract. Let me make it very concrete. When I did this, we'll walk through step by step, and I'll show you what I did. When I did this, I actually didn't do much planning. My planning was more or less jump off the cliff and figure out how to build the airplane on the way down. That was kind of my plan. It was I don't know how to do this, but I'm going for it plan. And I set the deadline. It was within 2 weeks, and so I was just working everything I knew and learning what I needed to learn to put this all together. That was my planning. Then it was the promotion. Now, for my ACE Your Graduate School application bootcamp, here's how it worked. Started with a free post that I just put up on my Facebook page, my professional page. I'm teaching a free class by phone on Friday, November 23rd that will be a lifesaver for anyone in the midst of applying to grad school or thinking about it for next year, etc., etc. I also started to experiment with some Facebook advertising, which I had studied a little bit before but never kind of gotten any skin in the game with. So I began buying ads, and I didn't spend that much money. This is just a snapshot. In total, I think over the whole month and a half that I was working on this, I spent a couple $100 on a variety of ads, and they got better as I learned more about how to how to refine them, the headline, the body text, the image, etc. This one says, Berkeley Prof reveals secrets to ace your application, free 90-minute webinar, register now. Okay, so those were the paid promotions. And then there was also some spontaneous promotions from other people who began to share what they saw on my page. This person, who's a former student of mine, said, hey, to friends thinking about applying to grad school in the next few years, one of my favorite professors from UC Berkeley, Adrian McIntyre, is hosting a free dial-in lecture on how to maximize the effects of your grad school application. Register here through this link. And he just did that on his own, which was really kind. Another person said, Adrian's a fantastic educator. You're considering grad school. He'll give you free tips. Why are people doing this? Because they know that what you're going to teach is valuable, and they want to hook their friends up with this valuable stuff. This is really that simple. It's cool of them to tell people who might need it how they can get some really great help for free. So there was a number of these things. People just posted, here, if you're interested in getting into grad school, get on this call, right? So that's part of the promotion strategy. Then, when someone clicked on one of those links or followed from the Facebook page, when they clicked an ad or they followed the link from the Facebook page, they were driven to my platform, basically to the website that I had set up specifically for this program. And your platform should hinge on a website. If you already have one, cool. If you don't already have one, you can put it together very easily. We're not talking about a complicated, expensive website like you would have needed to put together 5 years ago. This is something that can be done for, oh man, I mean, if you do it yourself and you use simple things, you can get everything set up for it's less than $100 straight out the gate. You get everything. The website must do one very important thing. And your website right now, whether you choose to do this strategy or not, must do this thing. And that is be able to collect email addresses so that you can follow up with people over time. If you don't have a way for people to enter their email address on your website right now and then offer them something of high value in exchange for that address, that's your mission this next week. You need to do that. I challenge you to figure that out and get it set up, because that will be a crucial part of building your coaching practice. And you may already know that. I'm just underlining something here. Now, in addition, your platform can include the other social media properties that you may have. Doesn't have to, or it could only include a few. And then a platform fundamentally involves also the technology to connect with a larger group of people and let them hear you speak and talk or see your slides or whatever. And there's GoToWebinar, there's Instant Teleseminar, Maestro Conference, Meeting Burner. There's a lot of these kind of technologies. A webinar or teleseminar platform. You can even get a free conference call number and use that for the whole thing. In fact, that's how I started. I got a number from freeconferencecalling.com. No cost. I got my own dedicated phone number with a code. And so I just said, hey, here's how to get on that free workshop. You call this number, here's the code, dial in. My website that I put together for Ace Your Graduate School application looks like this. And this is a simple WordPress website using a plugin called Launch Effect. Launch, like launching the space shuttle. Effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. There's a free version of this plugin. I ended up getting the premium one that cost $35 because it had a number of premium features that I really wanted to use, but you could use the free one to do this. I picked that photo out. I kind of tweaked these little things, set the box color, and wrote the copy. Ace Your Graduate School application. Register now for this free online class taught by Dr. Adrian McIntyre, strategic communications consultant and UC Berkeley lecturer, etc., etc., etc. The most important thing on this page is that little white box that people can put in their email address. That's how this thing works. Now, also on Facebook, I found a way to have that opt-in page, that landing page, be inside of Facebook. So here's a little snapshot from a while back of my professional Facebook page. And right here, if you see that red thing, is a custom app. That's what it's called. And if you click that, it takes you to this other window on Facebook in which you can see my website. In fact, you're really like looking through a window at the website itself. My website's not on Facebook, but this is like a little portal that you can look through and even interact with. So people could sign up using the same website, but inside Facebook. I recommend, if you want to do this, there's a tool that you can get. They have a free version, and then there are paid versions, paid levels as well. The tool I recommend for this is called Short Stack, like as in pancakes, a short stack. And with their free version, you can build your own custom app that will show a website on a tab of your Facebook page. Very, very cool and very useful. People don't even have to leave Facebook to sign up for your presentation. When they do enter their email address there, then you need to have an email system in place to respond automatically and then follow up with a sequence of messages. And I was using here the program, the email service called MailChimp. This is a great service, and I recommend this highly. I also recommend, and in fact, I'm in the process of switching to the other well-known email service, Aweber. Aweber. MailChimp is a great way to get started. They have a free plan that will let you have up to 500 email addresses on that free plan, and it will plug right into your website and work very well, and it's awesome. I mean, it's well designed, it's well thought out. They've got some cute and funny things too. It's a very cool platform. There are a few features that as you maybe expand and grow your business, you'll realize there are certain things you can't do with MailChimp. I won't go into details. I still highly recommend them, and I'm also now recommending Aweber as the better solution. And you'll find people who are passionate about MailChimp, passionate about Aweber. I'll just tell you, for me, the functionality that I'm getting from Aweber is really what I need. All right? So whatever the case, you need an email service, a bulk email provider. That's the platform. Now, the follow-up email messages get people on to the presentation. And the presentation is like what you're watching right now, but it's usually live. And I'm actually re-recording this so that you have a more compact version of this content. But the presentation should be something where you deliver some real value to people, where you teach them some of your best content from the paid program. You don't want to hold back on the presentation. You want to give away your best stuff for free. And that may be counterintuitive to a lot of people. People are sort of protective. Well, if I teach my best stuff for free, then why would they ever want to buy what I have for sale? I'll tell you why. Because they now know that your stuff is awesome. Because they now know that you can really help them. I heard something quite profound from a guy named Frank Kern, who's one of the most well-established and interesting and somewhat off-the-wall internet marketers you might ever come across. He's brilliant. And Frank said, the best way for you to convince people that you can help them is to just help them. And once you've done that, they know that it works. Also, if you think about this, major recording artists don't think when they're coming out with a new album, what's the lowest end, what's the worst song on here that I could give away for free on the radio? No. They say, what's the best one? And blast it out as broadly and widely as they can, giving that song away for free. And when people love it, they think, man, this is great. The rest of it must be equally great. And they go and they buy that album. All right, so that's just how it works. You should make peace with that. In fact, I recommend you embrace it wholeheartedly. Give away your best stuff for free all the time. People will always think, oh man, if this is really great and it's free, imagine what the paid stuff must be like. And that's just how it works. That's the psychology of it. Now, my presentation for the Ace Your Graduate School application, first it was a free teleseminar that I did with that conference line I told you about. And then next time around, I did a little webinar, my first ever live webinar. And just quickly run through, these were the slides for it. They're pretty simple. I was just teaching some of the top strategies and issues that they needed to understand in order to most effectively present their application, write their essay, and all the rest. So you go through and you teach your best stuff. Then there's always a crux, a turning point where, okay, now what? What should you do next? And that's when your presentation transitions to your pitch or your offer. Essentially, what I recommend here is that you are just straight with people. You have a factual adult conversation and you tell them the truth. And the truth is that you've got a choice. You can take the information that I've just given you, the strategies and some of the specific details, and you can go and implement it on your own. Or you could also register for my paid program, my boot camp, my training course, whatever it is, and we'll go through that in depth, in detail, and we'll work through it all step by step, etc. I'm going to give you an example of this in just a minute. Here's the offer that I was making during the Ace Your Graduate School application webinar. It was for a boot camp. This was a week long. It was 3 sessions. They were all done over the phone. The foundation session, the advanced strategies session, and then an Ask Anything live Q&A session. It was going to be a total of 5 hours of intensive hands-on training, guidance, and support. They were going to get recordings of all the sessions. exclusive access to a private Facebook group, and the cost of that boot camp was $397. That was the offer that I made. And then, and I recommend you do this too, I offered an upgrade. This was the elite coaching upgrade to the regular boot camp. And they would get everything that was in that regular boot camp plus 2 weeks of unlimited access to me personally. And I was a little nervous about doing this at first, but I thought, what would be the most valuable thing? If I was in their shoes, what would be the thing I would most want as the premium version of this program? And I realized it would be the ability to talk to me as often as they needed to in order to sort out their applications. So I said, okay, 2 weeks of unlimited access. I gave them my phone number, my email, a private email address. They could talk to me on Skype or a Google Plus Hangout or whatever they wanted to do. I would give them unlimited feedback on drafts of the essays they were writing. I would give personal coaching, mentoring on mindset, strategy, tactics, whatever came up, so that they were always, empowered and taking action so that they could get this all done in a week. And, I made it very clear that that was limited to 6 people. I just simply couldn't work with more than that number of people. They would have to apply, and we'd talk by phone first. Again, not because I'm being elitist, but because I just want to make sure that I can help them before I accept them into this intensive one-on-one high-end program. And of course, if for any reason we decide not to work together, no problem. And the cost for that upgrade was $2,000, $1,997. Now, here's the thing that I want you to understand. When you offer a specific solution to an urgent problem that people know they have, and you're being cooler than everybody else by giving away all this free information and just being approachable and human and transparent and all the rest, people will buy what you're selling. The very first sale from the ACE Your Graduate School Application Bootcamp was for this upgrade coaching package. A few minutes after the first call was over, my phone went ding, and there was a PayPal email that said, "You've got a payment." And then there was another email, ding, that was the application to upgrade. "I really want to talk to you. This is so amazing. I really hope you'll be able to help me. When can we speak on the phone?" So I got on the phone the next day with a young woman who was a very capable student, had a strong academic background, had been working professionally for 2 or 3 years since she graduated from university. She decided to go back for a master's degree, and her number one choice of schools was Harvard, and their deadline was in 6 days, and she hadn't started the application yet. She had an urgent problem, and she knew she had it, and I was offering a specific solution. And we talked, it was a good fit, and she immediately paid the balance, and we began to work together. So consider that upgrade. There will be times when that's exactly what people are looking for. And then I gave people a link to sign up, and away we went. All right, so that was the offer. And, of course, everyone who followed that link to register for the program would be taken to a website that would put them into the program. This was the simple sales page that I created, also on that same website, even using that same WordPress plugin. I didn't really build any website here. There's just a plugin that gives you that landing page and then this additional page. That's the whole thing. 2 pages on that website. 3, actually, because there's another page that has the legal stuff, the terms and conditions and disclaimers and privacy policy and all those things. Those are really important, by the way. If you're taking email addresses on your website in order to comply with government regulations and the policies of all kinds of important organizations, you must have an explicit privacy policy, terms and conditions, disclaimers, etc. So look into that for yourself. I cannot and would not give you specific legal advice, except to tell you that you need to know how to do that, and you should go consult with the appropriate professional. So you make sure that you've done that appropriately. Okay, legal stuff. So anyway, the sales page here, it was to scroll down. There was a button at the bottom. Now, what's that button? You know what that is? That's a picture. That is an image sitting right there below the text, and it's a clickable link. That link is going to PayPal. not to an elaborate shopping cart. I didn't have one. Not to anything even expensive. I was using the free version of PayPal, and it allows you to create a link that you can set up on the PayPal end so that when someone clicks that link, they get taken to the sales page on PayPal. So someone did that, they put in their information, and then the money started to flow into my account. Now, I've shown you dollar figures here and all the rest. I have to actually also tell you that under no circumstances would I ever promise you could make any amount of money whatsoever. So even though you see numbers on there, it's not an income claim. I have no idea what kind of results you could get by implementing this strategy. You need to, use your own intelligence and due diligence and everything else. You're responsible for your own results. I'm simply presenting the case study of what worked for me and the results I got. Okay? Now, additional benefits from this. I want to show you something. We often talk about the ripple effect, right? When you help somebody and it goes out and it goes beyond. That's powerful and it's awesome. There's another kind of ripple effect too, and it's very trackable. Now, this is a snapshot from my own Facebook Insights panel after all the graduate school boot camp stuff was over and after the holidays were done. You can see this screenshot here starts about December 27. And you'll notice that line's pretty flat. Over the holidays, not a lot happening. And why there's nothing happening is because of something that P.T. Barnum said, the American circus promoter. Said this brilliantly a few years ago. Like 100. Without promotion, something terrible happens. Nothing. And during that period of time, there were no promotions, and so nothing was happening. Not a lot of people commenting, talking about my stuff, etc. And then watch this. When I first started to do the promotion for the program I'm going to tell you about in just a minute, things begin to take off. And this is the engagement with my page, the reach that I'm having, the number of people talking about the post, which means clicking on it, liking it, commenting, sharing, etc. I want to show you a few of these numbers. Between January 14 and January 20, there was 118,000 people who saw some of my content, whether it was an ad or a post or something. Now, those 118,000 people were paid advertising. I paid a few cents for each of the clicks or whatever that got them to see that. But let's take that out of the equation, because you may just say, oh, okay, fine, dude, you bought some eyeballs, fine, great. But no, look, you take the paid part out and look at the viral reach. 5,637 people saw my posts because their friends had seen them and shared them, and that's why they saw it. And 1,552 people were reached organically. They stumbled across it or they searched for something and it brought them there. And during that same week, how many times were people seeing this stuff? Well, 31,000 people were reached once. Okay, fine. But let's jump to the other end of that spectrum. 18,000 people were reached 6 to 10 times. 13,000 people were reached 11 to 20 times. And 14,000 people were reached more than 21 times. The reach of my positioning had gone through the roof. Why? Because I had something specific to talk about. Now, what's next for you? This is the moment where I actually want to have an adult kind of conversation with you. I want to make you an offer. And I'd like to invite you to listen to what I'm about to say on two levels. So on the one hand, this is a legitimate offer for a program that I have that starts very soon. And on the other hand, I'd like you to look at the way I've structured this offer, because a lot of thought has gone into each piece of it and you may want to model it. Okay, so listen as someone who might potentially benefit from registering for the program I'm talking about, but also listen from the perspective of someone who's learning how these things work. All right? You have two choices. You always have at least two choices. And they're both going to require you to take action. If you want to do anything with the information, the strategies that I've been presenting here today, you're going to have to take action. Ideas not coupled with action never become bigger than the brain cells they occupied. And if you're going to take action, there's only one time ever in which you can. And that time is called now. I love this photo. Every hour on the clock has been replaced with the word now, because you can only ever act in some moment called now. You can't act in the past. You can't act in the future. Action always happens now. Here's choice number 1. You can get to work on your own to implement what I've just shown you. You've got some notes. You can maybe even re-watch this video if it's still up online. And you can figure this stuff out and do it on your own. You've got the high-level strategy and even some specific tactics. I've given you as much as I possibly can in this short period of time that will really help you. What you'll need to do, I highly recommend, is set a deadline for when you're going to launch that program and then take action every day. When I was first building that graduate school application boot camp, I was working on that because of the short time frame, sometimes 16, 18 hours a day. Very, very intensively for a very short period of time, relatively short period of time. And I had to figure a lot of stuff out. And you can too. You're going to have to work the details out through trial and error as you go along. So you know what? You're going to have to like that because there's a lot of it. You're going to fail often. You'll try something, it won't work, it'll break. You'll get frustrated. You'll have to contact support for this thing or that thing or the other thing. You'll have to dig through the web, Googling stuff to try to figure out how to make it work. So you want to love that kind of process, all right? Because that's what you'll be doing. It's just the reality of how this thing works. There's also choice number 2. Choice number 2 is that you can sign up for my 6-week intensive program. In fact, it's a program about how to build a program. We'll work through each of the milestones that I showed you, those 6 steps in the path to purchase. Planning, promotions, all of those. We'll go through them step by step. I'll remove all the confusion and uncertainty and the trial and error that you'll likely go through if you're trying to do this on your own, and there won't be any of the loneliness and frustration because you'll be working together in a structured and supportive environment with other people who are up to the same thing. I'll give you action plans, templates, guidelines, etc. This program is called the Business Building Bootcamp, and it's a boot camp about how to make a boot camp. It's a training program about how to build a training program. And here's how it works. It's a 6-week course that starts on April 2nd, and it ends on May 9th. Every week, there is a content module that you'll get at the beginning of the week. Now, the first one will be on a Tuesday because that's the day April 2nd is. But then every week after that, it'll be on the Monday. The content module is delivered via a secure membership portal, which you can log into 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's made up of a whole set of videos, PDFs, some audio files, etc. It's a whole package of content about each of the milestones, and we'll walk through them here in just a second. Then there's a live Q&A session each Thursday via conference line. So you get the content module at the beginning of the week, you begin to work on it, you study it, you begin to implement it. Remember, this is an action-focused program, you're not getting this information just to learn it. This is for doers who want to be building something. That's why it's called the Business Building Bootcamp. And on Thursdays, we're going to call together, and you can ask any questions. I can clear up any confusion or clarify stuff. You can share some of the specifics about what you're actually working on, and you can also listen to other people in the bootcamp talking about where they're struggling and what they've done about it, and sort through it all together. I provide some coaching, some mentoring, and give a lot of specific tips and tactics based on my own experience, because this business model is a core part of my own business. So I know this well, and I'm continuing to refine and develop it as well, and I'll share all of that with you. You'll get audio recordings of all of those Q&A sessions, so if you can't be on them one of the weeks or at all, you'll have those audio recordings right shortly after the session. They get uploaded into that membership area. You'll get the action plans, templates, worksheets, and scripts, all the stuff that I've used to run multiple ones of these path to purchase sequences. And you'll have exclusive access to a private Facebook group where you can post questions, share resources, and get support from the community. This has turned out to be really extraordinary. I didn't realize it when I first offered this, but in the previous boot camp that just finished a couple of weeks ago, it turns out that one of the things people liked the most was the ability to be in that group and to connect with other coaches who are dealing with similar things, in some cases to create friendships and even partnerships where people are supporting each other. And that's a really cool and fun thing. Very valuable. So let's walk through how this works. And if you want to do the do-it-yourself approach too, take some notes here because I'm going to tell you some things about what you'll need to do in each step. This is that path to purchase that I outlined, and it's in the order that your potential client would pass through, starting with that promotion, ending up on the platform or the website where they have the opportunity to sign up for the presentation that then includes an offer, the pitch, and then puts them into the program. But you know what? You don't actually want to build it in that order. There's a smarter way to do it. Here's the order to build it in. Of course, it starts with the planning. And I'll give you some specific guidelines that I think will help you build a powerful plan that you can fulfill on. And then you jump to the end of the sequence and build the program. You want to start right away nailing down exactly the content of what's going to be in your training program or in your boot camp, whatever you decide to call it. Once you've figured that out, you go to work on putting together your presentation. You want to take the core concepts, the main strategies from the class, from the program, and teach them in the presentation. It could be at a somewhat high level, but you want to teach them there. Then, once you've got your presentation put together and you know what's in the program, you craft your pitch, you craft your offer. And only then do you begin worrying about the technology. How am I going to hook this stuff all up? How am I going to deliver it? What sort of website do I need? And how do I integrate this with the website I already have or get one if I don't have one? How do I get the webinar stuff in play? All that. Then finally, at the very end of this, once you've got all that other things worked out, then you work on your promotions. And then you start running your promotions, and then people go through the sequence. Here's what happens in the Business Building Bootcamp. We go through each of those steps a week at a time. We start with planning. You will identify a specific problem and the people who have that problem. This is the foundation for everything that follows. And I'll walk you through a super simple process that cuts through a lot of the nonsense coaches struggle with in this area and helps you make some powerful decisions very quickly. I'll show you how to conduct customer insight interviews or surveys to really discover or confirm what it is that your ideal client wants to buy. I highly recommend that you don't base this on what you think they need. That's a sure way to fail fast. You got to get out of the building, out of your head, out into the world, and find some people that fit the profile of the ideal client, the person you know you can best help, and talk to them. Not in order to sell them anything, but as part of the design process, getting their input, their insights, their feedback. Then you'll determine the single biggest result your clients can achieve in a fixed period of time. I recommend you don't go more than 8 weeks, 2 months. People's engagement fades. Keep it short, powerful, and intense. You'll also set your timeline for the entire project following a template that I'll give you, including a master checklist of every step you're going to have to take in order to fulfill on this whole sequence. Then week 2, you'll jump to building the program. You'll determine the major milestones for your boot camp or your program. You'll design the curriculum. I will give you some insights based on cutting-edge education research, adult learning theory, to help you design a powerful and effective curriculum. And you'll put together the content modules with whatever they're going to need to achieve each of the steps. You'll name your program, and I'll give you some guidance on how to do that, and you'll determine your price point, which is very important. Then week 3, you'll do the presentation. You'll actually begin to create your presentation, a free training workshop. It could be in person if that's what you want to do, but I'm going to teach you how to do a teleseminar or a webinar, and it translates just fine to in-person presentations. To teach some premium content that will help people a lot, even if they don't sign up for your program. Remember, your strategy here is just be cooler than everybody else. Give them more valuable stuff for free and really help them without any expectation that they owe you anything in the process. Then, during that workshop, you'll teach the major milestones they'll pass through in order to get what they want, and you'll bust myths where needed. You'll tell them, listen, these things that you've been doing don't really work. You should maybe try this instead. Okay? Just be super helpful. Included in that module about the presentation is one of the most valuable parts of this whole training program, of my business building bootcamp. I'm going to give you the ultimate webinar template. I've been on hundreds of webinars observing how the people who have begun to master this fairly new mode of delivery are doing it, and I've condensed what I've learned into the ultimate outline that will go through step by step each of the things you need to do and when to deliver an effective webinar, teleseminar, or even in-person presentation. Week 4 is all about the offer, the pitch. Now that you've laid out those milestones in the presentation that people will need to pass through to get what they want, you do what you just saw me do. You give them a choice. They can take the strategies you've taught them and implement them on their own, or they can sign up for your program, for your bootcamp, which will walk them through each milestone step by step. Now, I'll show you how to create a simple, compelling offer that spells out all the benefits and outcomes of your program in a straightforward and factual manner. In fact, this whole thing, while I'm going to teach you some advanced psychology in this module, there are no sneaky psychological tricks. There is no, necessary kind of stealth tactics here. There's no sneaky NLP things. There's no need to counter objections or dance in the conversation or do any of the things that other people are teaching. And while those things may all be valuable, this is the most straightforward way to sell without selling that I have ever encountered. And it works like a champ. You treat people like the adults they are, and you just tell the truth. This is what I've got. This is what it'll do for you. And then here's what you'll need to do if you'd like to take advantage of that. Here's what you need to do next. Then week 5, we build the platform. And this is the thing that a lot of people get freaked out about. But I'll walk you through step by step how to get a domain name, set up the hosting, install the WordPress site, build your own opt-in page and connect it up to an email provider, get yourself a teleseminar or webinar account. And I'll mention free ways to do a lot of these things and low-cost ways to do the others, as well as some premium service providers you may want to consider. I'll teach you how to set up that PayPal button so you can actually get paid. And we'll also work here on the copy for your opt-in page, follow-up emails, and your sales page. Finally, the final week of this class, week 6, is all about the promotions. And this is a crash course in what's working right now in using ultra-targeted Facebook ads to get a steady flow of traffic from the people who are most qualified to buy. This module on its own is probably worth the cost I'm charging for the whole bootcamp, because I'm going to teach you exactly the best strategies to use 6 kinds of ads. Here's what they are. There's lots of different things you can do with Facebook, but these are the ones that really work right now. Page like ads help you get more fans for your page from people who are interested in what you're offering. Promoted posts, a sort of entry-level way to begin turning the things you're posting on your page into ads with broader reach. Pretty simple to use, but I actually recommend, although I'll teach you how to do them, there's a more powerful way to do the same thing with something called page post ads. This is when you make a post on your Facebook page. It's a status update, or it's a photo with a little comment, or it's a video, and then you turn that post into an ad. I'll talk about sponsored stories, which can be used effectively, but they could also be used very, very badly and get you into a lot of hot water with people that think you're spamming them. This is a very interesting issue, actually, that a lot of folks are discovering. Those can work really great or really, really not great. And I can teach you exactly how to avoid the not great and have them be effective. We'll also talk about mobile-only ads, ads that are only running to mobile phones. And in fact, 40% of the Facebook users interact with Facebook primarily through their mobile phone. So that's critical. And then a relatively new form of promotion on Facebook called an offer, which is a really cool way to promote something even if it's free, like a free webinar or seminar, teleseminar, or whatever. I'll teach you about savvy ad design, how to select the photo, how to write the headline, how to write the copy for the body text. And I'm going to highly recommend that you do shoot a short video and make it into a page post ad. Of all the ads that I've run over the past 5 months, in which I've spent probably close to $5,000 of my own money at this point, running different kinds of ads and testing various things and trying different things, and I've made that all back in with quite a healthy margin from the programs that I've offered. But I've spent a lot of money to figure out what's really working, and I'll tell you, the video that becomes an ad is by far the most effective thing in terms of Facebook promotions right now today. It's amazing. So I'll tell you how to do that and recommend that you do, even though it's optional. What are you getting inside the training? What are you getting inside the membership portal? I've got a few screenshots here just to let you know what you get. This is the login to that membership site. And once you're inside, you've got all these tabs here of all the different modules. Now, you'll get module 1 on April 2nd. And all the other modules are there, but they're going to be released to you 1 week at a time. See, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I've packed each module with a lot of content for that week. So you'll get module 1 right away, and while you'll be able to see module 2 through 6, they won't be actually open and available to you until the next week. So I'm delivering this to you at a reasonable pace. It's not quite spoon feeding, but it's also not drinking from the fire hose. Okay, so it's paced that way. I'll just show you a few screenshots. This is inside of module 2, one of the videos, and you can see here on the left number of the different units inside that module, which is on the program. In module 3, some of the snapshots, screenshots from some of the videos in here. There's a lot of content. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, literally, that's no exaggeration, over the past several months, building up this program to make sure that it is the most comprehensive training you can get on this topic. We go through things in detail, platform, how it all hooks up, etc., etc. Now, with that boot camp, you also get some bonuses. And you'll get these starting in week 5 so that you've done the majority of the thinking about your own program before you get distracted by this stuff. One is a small, as a bonus module on how to get amazing testimonials, both from previous clients as well as from current ones. You'll also get access to a set of interviews that I've done and will continue to do, exclusive, behind-the-scenes interviews with successful coaches. Now, here's what's so great about these interviews. Every coach I've interviewed, I've gotten them to agree to tell you the things they normally don't speak about in public. They will actually open the kimono, so to speak, and tell you the story of how they got started in coaching, all the mistakes they made along the way, some of the hard lessons that they've learned, and what they began to figure out when they cracked the code to becoming successful in their own way. And they'll share with you the specific things they're doing now that are working best for them in their own coaching practice. That's an invaluable set of resources, and it's going to expand and grow over time as I keep adding more interviews to that set. You also get something called the Marketing Masterclass for business owners. This is a detailed, in-depth presentation that I do for small business owners, local businesses, brick and mortar businesses. And we talk about things like how to set your website up to get found in local search, how to use email marketing and mobile marketing, how to get positioned so you'll get found online, how to leverage a lot of the different review sites and other things. Now, while this is geared toward small business owners, local businesses, it's actually very applicable for coaches as well. So I've included that as one of the bonuses here in the boot camp. And finally, you get lifetime access to this boot camp for the lifetime of the boot camp, as long as it exists as a program in the world and online. And I can't think of a reason why it would stop being in existence. I plan to continue developing this and adding to it over time. When you join the class and you go through those 6 weeks, you actually will continue to have access to the membership site forever. And every time there's new material added, you'll get it, along with every new person who's joined the program later on. You'll even be able to call in to the live calls down the road if you'd like to do that. You don't have to, but if 6 months from now you'd like to re-engage and revisit some of the content, you're welcome to join in, and you'll always have access to the content of that membership area. That, by the way, is invaluable. Now, what are you really getting? You're getting 20 plus hours of video training, which I've valued based on my own time and the content. I value that at $7,000. You're getting 6 live Q&A sessions plus the recordings, valued at $900. You're getting the worksheets, the templates, the scripts, all of the detailed stuff that I've used in my own promotions, and I'm giving that to you, valued at an additional $750. You're getting that marketing masterclass, that bonus, valued at $400. The exclusive video interview set, currently valued at $300, but I'll be adding more videos, so that's going to increase in value. And then the short module on how to get amazing testimonials, valued at $100. So if you took the real world value of these things and added them up, this program really should cost $9,450. But I'm not going to charge you that amount. I really do want to make this as accessible to coaches as possible. Now, it's still a premium program. I've worked very hard to make this comprehensive, and this is the best stuff that I've got to give you right now. But that's the value of the program, $94.50. Before you add in lifetime access, which frankly is priceless, how much should I charge for this boot camp? Well, it's something I actually really thought a lot about. And what I've come up with is, to make this as accessible as possible, I want you to be able to participate for 3 payments of only $597. Or if you'd like to save money up front, you could save 22% and make a single payment of $13.97. 3 payments of $597, and how that works is you'd pay $597 when you register, and then the additional payment is due on May 1st, and the final payment due on June 1st, which is even after the 6 weeks are up. Or you can save the money 22% and pay right up front a total of $13.97. How you register for this program is you go to this website, bschoolforcoaches.com/join. bschoolforcoaches.com/join. Now, I also want you to know that I have a 100% money-back guarantee. This is a ironclad, no questions asked, no hard feelings money-back guarantee. How it works is, if this program is not a fit for you for any reason, you just let me know during the first 30 days. And I won't bother you about it. I won't question your judgment. I'll simply give you a prompt and courteous refund. If this is not the thing that's the best for you, I'd like you to have your money back to be able to go and do the thing that will really help you. All right? So I'm taking all the risk away here. And I want to make sure you can really participate and get the full value of the program without worrying about whether or not it's right for you up front. You'll know very quickly. And to be frank, I've never had anybody ask for a refund because of the value that you're getting. But that is there for you as an option. I guarantee your satisfaction. And if you're not satisfied, no hard feelings. You'll get your money and we'll go our separate ways. And hopefully stay friends. But here's the cool thing, by the way. This is brand new. I'm just announcing this for the first time. Right now, look, it's spring. Spring's on the way anyway. And spring's a time of renewal and expansion and growth. So I've decided to do something radical, something I've never done before. And this is available to everyone who registers for this next program. I'd like to let you bring a friend along with you for free. Now, basically that means it's 2 for the price of 1. But I'll still need just one of you to be responsible for the payment. However you work it out between the 2 of you, that's completely up to you. You can either split it, or you could pay for the thing and gift it to your friend. Here's all that I ask. I'd like you to make sure that your friend, the coach that you would like to bring along with you, knows what this is, knows what we're going to do, and wants to be doing that work. Okay, I don't want you to just have some random person who's not really interested in this join just for the heck of it. Okay, so when you register, then you can send me an email and let me know who's the person that you'd like to bring. I'll touch base with them just really quick. It's not a screening or anything. Just want to make sure that they know what we're up to and it's something they really want to do and that'll benefit them. And they'll be more than welcome to participate. And they'll get all the bonuses that you get. They'll get full access to the membership site. They'll be in the Facebook group. They'll be a full participant in the program with the same lifetime access that you have. I actually can't think of a better way to celebrate spring than to make you that special offer. And I'm excited to really expand the community of people who are participating in this course, so I'm happy to do that. Okay, it's my gift to you. Everyone who registers for this program that starts on April 2nd will be able to bring a friend for free. Again, it's 3 payments of $597 or that single payment of $1,397. The website where you can register is bschoolforcoaches.com/join. Now, one final thing. Of course, I have a VIP upgrade, and I recommend that you always do this too, as I think I said earlier in this presentation. In my experience, there are always a few people who will want an even higher level of distinction and personalized service than what you're already getting with the 6-week Business Building Bootcamp. And if that's you, then you might consider the VIP upgrade. Now, here's what you'll get. Everything that comes with the Business Building Bootcamp, including the bonuses, plus you'll get 6 full weeks of one-on-one mentoring from me personally. I'll give you my phone number. You can email me as often as you like. We can talk on Skype or Google Plus Hangout or anything that would work for you. You can email me unlimited versions of your course outlines and your marketing materials as you're designing your program. And I'll provide feedback. And I'll suggest revisions as needed. We'll really work together on your content. In addition, you'll get a custom-built technology platform done for you, including a beautiful standalone website to sign people up for your program. I'll actually handle all that tech stuff. Unless you want me to just work along with you on it, I'm happy to do it for you. And finally, you'll get 1 free ticket to the Virtual Business Summit I'm hosting in May 2013. And this is for a select group of my high-end clients. During this half-day live event, which will be held online, so you can participate from anywhere, we'll put our heads together and do a deep dive into each person's business. They'll share what's been working, what's not been working, and then we'll strategize together as a group to determine exactly what steps each person needs to take to elevate their business performance over the next 3 months. Very strategic and very tactical. Now, I should probably charge at least $10,000 for this level of access and personal attention, not to mention the custom-built website and the Virtual Business Summit, but I'm not going to do that. The VIP upgrade to the Business Building Bootcamp is limited to a very small number of people. You have to apply, which basically means you need to pay a deposit, and then we'll talk on the phone, make sure it's a good fit. And if we decide not to work together for any reason, no problem. You can either stay in the regular boot camp or I can refund that deposit. It's a completely refundable payment. And the cost for the VIP upgrade, the total cost, including the boot camp, is $39.97, $3,997. If you choose to apply for this, the deposit you'll need to make, there's a separate button on the website, bschoolforcoaches.com/join, and the deposit, the application fee, in essence, is the one payment of the $13.97, the same as the single payment for the regular boot camp. And as I said, that's fully refundable if for any reason after we talk we're both not fully convinced that working together is the best thing. The application fee is really just there to make sure I'm getting serious inquiries for this only. Okay, so What you have to know is you're going to need to act fast, and this isn't some sort of fake scarcity thing here. Registration for this program closes on Monday, April 1st at midnight Pacific time. And the program starts the next day, Tuesday, April 2nd. So if there's something that you'd like to do, then I invite you to sign up today. I invite you to go to bschoolforcoaches.com/join and register. Remember, when you do, you'll be able to bring a friend with you for free. Now, if you're applying for the VIP program, you don't get to bring a VIP client along for free, but they could do the regular boot camp while you're in the VIP package. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, if you got any questions about this, because this is a recorded replay, you don't have a chance to interact with me, tell you what I'm going to do. Call me. Here's a number. Give me a call. If there's something important that I haven't addressed, or if you want to know if this business building bootcamp is a good fit for your specific situation, just give me a call. We'll talk. I'd be happy to speak to you. That's a Google Voice number. So it rings through to my phone, but it's not my own private number, but it'll reach directly to me. Or you can send me an email. My email address is adrian@bschoolforcoaches.com. Now, this class is capped at 30 people, and you never know, with this whole bring a friend thing, it may fill up. So I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and take action now. And of course, you should do whatever's best for you. But I know that if you're someone who wants to elevate your coaching practice and in a supported environment, eliminating all the guesswork, that this is the program for you. It's laser focused, it's action oriented, it's results driven, and I'd be delighted if you were to join us. Again, that link is bschoolforcoaches.com/join. Thank you so much for your interest. I hope that this training and also the offer has been instructive for you. But more importantly, thanks for who you are. Thanks for what you're contributing to the world. I look forward to talking to you again soon.